Software composition analyses is the second sub-bullet under third-party risk and Objective 2.4 of the CompTIA CySA CS0-004 exam. It answers a question neither static nor dynamic testing addresses. Not whether the code your team wrote is safe, but what your team assembled and what is already known to be wrong with it. This video covers what SCA does, how it identifies components, the difference between direct and transitive dependencies, the reachability filter that separates real findings from noise, license risk, remediation paths, and how SCA differs from SAST and from an SBOM. The definition: software composition analyses identifies the third-party and open-source components present in an application, along with their versions, their known vulnerabilities, and their license terms. It is a process rather than an artifact. It runs, it produces output, and it runs again when something changes. The reason it exists is arithmetic. In a typical modern application, the code the organization actually wrote is a small fraction of what ships, and everything else arrived from somewhere else. The consequence of that arithmetic is the practical point. A clean static analysis scan tells you the code your team wrote has no detected weaknesses. It tells you nothing about a critical vulnerability in a library 3 levels deep in the dependency graph. Those two facts coexist comfortably, and organizations that test only their own code discover the gap during an incident. SCA closes it, and it is the only technique in this objective that does. SCA identifies components 3 ways, and knowing which one is in use tells you how much to trust the inventory. Manifest and lock file parsing reads the declared dependency files a package manager produces, which is fast and accurate for what is declared. Binary fingerprinting compares compiled artifacts against known signatures, which catches components that were vendor bundled or copied in without a manifest entry. And container image analyses inspects layers to find operating system packages and application dependencies inside the image. A tool relying only on manifest will miss anything that never went through the package manager. The direct versus transitive distinction matters more than any other in SCA output. A direct dependency is one your code declares and your team chose. A transitive dependency is one pulled in by a direct dependency, or by one of its dependencies, and so on down. In practice, transitive dependencies vastly outnumber direct ones, and the majority of SCA findings sit in components nobody on the team ever heard of. That changes remediation because you frequently cannot upgrade the vulnerable component directly. You have to upgrade whatever pulled it in. The output of an SCA scan has 4 parts. A component inventory listing every identified component with its version and where it came from. Vulnerability matches pairing components against known vulnerability data, usually by CVE. License information for each component with the terms that apply. And dependency relationship showing what pulled in what, which is the part that makes remediation planning possible rather than guesswork. That inventory portion is also, not coincidentally, the raw material for a software bill of materials. Now, the filter that separates a usable SCA program from an unusable one is reachability. A vulnerability existing and a component present in your application does not mean your application is exposed. The vulnerable function may never be called. The vulnerable code path may require a configuration you do not use. The component may be a development or a test dependency that never ships to production. Reachability analyses, which modern tools increasingly perform, checks whether the vulnerable code is actually invoked from your application. Without that filter, an SCA program produces enormous volumes of findings, and teams learn to ignore all of them. License risk is the other half of SCA, and it is easy for security people to dismiss and expensive to get wrong. Open source components carry license terms, and some of those terms impose obligations, attribution, source disclosure, or restrictions on how derivative work may be distributed. A component whose license requires publishing your source code pulled transitively into a commercial product is a legal problem discovered by an SCA tool rather than a security one. Report it to the people who own that risk. Do not attempt to adjudicate it as a security finding. SCA runs in the same places as static analyses and behaves better in them because its findings are more definitive. In the developer's environment, when a dependency is added, on a pull request, flagging newly introduced components before they merge. In the build pipeline, producing the inventory for that build. In the registry, scanning stored artifacts and images continuously. And critically, continuously against existing inventory. Because a component that was clean when you shipped becomes vulnerable the day a new vulnerability is published against it, with no change to your code at all. That last point deserves its own emphasis. SCA is the only application security technique where findings appear without anything changing on your side. A static scan produces new findings when code changes. The SCA scan produces new findings when the world changes. That means an SCA program needs continuous reevaluation of already shipped inventory. And it means the question, was this application secure when we released it, has a different answer from, is it secure now? Remediation has 5 paths, and the exam may test the reasoning between them. Upgrade the component to a fixed version, which is the preferred answer and is often blocked by compatibility. Upgrade the parent that pulled it in transitively, which is the usual mechanism when the vulnerable component is not one you declared. Replace the component with an alternative, which is expensive and sometimes the only route for an abandoned project. Remove it, if the functionality is not actually used, which happens more often than people expect. Or accept with documentation and compensating controls where the component is unreachable or no fix exists. The upgrade problem is worth being honest about, because it is where SCA programs stall. A fixed version may introduce breaking API changes. The vulnerable component may be pinned by a parent that has not released an update. The project may be unmaintained with no fix coming. The application may depend on behavior the fix removed. Where an upgrade is genuinely blocked, the correct response is the same as anywhere else in this objective. A documented exception with a compensating control, an owner, and an expiration, rather than a finding that quietly ages. SCA has its own error modes. False positives arise when a vulnerability applies only to a specific configuration or function that your usage never touches, which is the reachability problem restated. They also arise from version misidentification, particularly with backported fixes, where a distribution patched a package without changing its version string. False negatives arise from components the tool could not identify, vendored code, statically linked libraries, or anything that never appeared in a manifest. Neither error is a reason to distrust the technique. Both are reasons to understand what the tool actually inspected. Position SCA against its neighbors, clearly, because the exam separates them. SAST analyzes code your organization wrote. SCA analyzes components your organization included. DAST tests the running result of both. And an SBOM is the inventory artifact. SCA is the process that produces and evaluates it. A question describing identification of open source components and their known vulnerabilities is SCA. A question describing a formal machine-readable component list handed to a customer is an SBOM. For your exam cues and traps, language about open source components, third-party libraries, dependency vulnerabilities, or license compliance points to SCA. For traps, SCA finds vulnerabilities in components you did not write, so it is not a substitute for SAST or DAST. Transitive dependencies produce most findings and cannot always be fixed directly. A component being present is not the same as being reachable. And SCA output is the source of an SBOM, not the same thing as one. So to recap, SCA identifies third-party and open-source components with their versions, known vulnerabilities, and licenses. It uses manifest parsing, binary fingerprinting, and container analyses. And what it inspects determines what it can see. Transitive dependencies dominate findings and complicate remediation. Reachability is the filter that makes the output usable. License risk belongs to legal and not to you. Findings appear when the world changes rather than when your code does, which makes continuous reevaluation mandatory. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.